If you liked the last shelf cooking, pantry cooking, freezer cooking video, I have another one for you. So this day I made salmon patties and they were delicious. So what you have to do is, here I have 2 cans of salmon, and I just took it out of the cans and I took all the bones out. You have to really make sure you take the big spine pieces out. If you miss a piece or two, it's okay. It won't choke you, I promise. So that's what I'm doing here. Just taking all the bones that I can out. It was definitely a messy process, so prepare yourself. Then I just cut up 1 green bell pepper. Actually, red would have probably been better. I would have preferred red, but that's what I had, so that's what I used. It was sitting in my crisper for a little while, so I did have to cut off a little piece, but we're trying to use up what we have, right? So anyway, yeah. So I would have preferred a red pepper, but we're just going to go with the green one for now. So I did use about half of that pepper and I reserved half of it for, I wasn't sure what yet, but I did figure it out. So then same with the onion, I'm just going to dice this up. I actually do have purple and white onions, but I figured white would be better for this. So just diced up the white onions as well. And same thing, I used only about half of the onion for the salmon cakes. And then I reserved the other half of the onion for, I didn't know what yet, but I will use it this week. I will figure it out. That's the name of this game. So you're going to need about a cup of mayonnaise. I just used what I had left in the jar. And then 6 to 8 pieces of bread. Some people in my family prefer that I take the crust off, and then some do not mind. My cousin, she really can't stand the crust, so she takes them off, but I leave them on, waste not, want not. And then about a tablespoon of Old Bay seasoning is what the recipe calls for, but I finished up my container of Old Bay. I probably used about 2 tablespoons, and I like mine a little bit more seasoned, so even if I wasn't trying to use it up, I would have put more in. So then what you're going to do is just take however big you want the patty to be. You're going to take a clump of, that sounds so gross, a clump of your mixture, and you're going to form it into a patty. Press it down, make sure that it doesn't crack too much, and you're ready to go. So you're going to take those patties and you are going to coat them in some flour. Make sure you get it coated on both sides and also all the way around. And in the meantime, you're going to want to have some oil heating up on the stove, and that's where these are going to go, straight into the oil. And you're going to cook them until they get crispy and golden brown on the outside. And I just serve them on a bun. Sometimes my son likes them with ketchup. Sometimes he eats them with cocktail sauce. They would be really good with some lettuce and tomato as well. So this night, what I did was made a baked ziti. So I used the rest of the ricotta cheese that I had in my refrigerator. I used the rest of the Parmesan cheese that I had in my refrigerator. These are not exact measurements because this is called use it up, right? So if you have a little bit more or a little bit less, or you don't have something, you can substitute. I had about a half of a jar of sauce. Again, it doesn't matter the flavor. And I really didn't think that that was enough. So I grabbed another jar of sauce and I used about a half of that jar as well. So don't worry about it. We're going to try to use this jar of sauce up too on another day. So just give that a good mix. And you're ready to go. So I just boiled some ziti And when that was done cooking, you don't want to cook this all the way. You want to leave it a little bit al dente. And then I decided I had some mild cheddar in the refrigerator. And I didn't have any mozzarella. I did have mozzarella in the freezer, but it was frozen. So I just decided to use that mild cheddar, and I mixed that in. And when the pasta was completed, like I said, leave it al dente because we're going to bake this. So when the pasta was ready, I just mixed the pasta in with the cheese mixture and got it ready to go into the oven. You're going to want to, if I'm baking, I preheat my oven. If I'm cooking, it doesn't really bother me. And sometimes, to be honest with you, if I'm baking, I don't preheat it either. That's just between us. So I'm just going to get this pasta and the cheese mixture mixed up. And I have a small, oh, look at that. I forgot. I had extra filling, so I'm going to actually have a freezer meal for this. I'm not going to freeze the pasta. I would prefer my pasta to be fresh when I make it. So I'm just going to freeze the filling. Make sure you write on the bag what it is and put a date on there, and you're good to go. Here we go. We got a freezer meal out of the video too. So now, like I tried to say 3 times, we're going to put our mixture into our baking dish, and then I'm going to cover this with some more of that mild cheddar. If you have mozzarella, that's great. Whatever kind of cheese you have that you have shredded, or you can shred up. Even if you have sliced cheese, you can put that all into a block, the slices all together, and you can try to shred that up. Whatever you have. This is called use it up. So then I'm going to put it into my cold oven at 350 just until the cheese gets nice and bubbly on top, and then the pasta will be done cooking. So the next night I made some sloppy joes. I'm not really sure. Not everyone calls these sloppy joes. I'm not really sure of the other names that you can call these things, but basically it's ground beef and add some, oh, look at that, some of those peppers and onions that I had chopped up for the bake, or what did I make for the salmon cakes. So I just added that in there, and I let that cook down a little bit, let them get a little bit soft. And once they were cooked down, I just added some brown sugar. I added about 3 teaspoons of brown sugar. And then I added about 2 teaspoons of yellow mustard and about 3 teaspoons of, what is that stuff called? Sweet relish. There you go. About 3 teaspoons of the sweet relish. And then I did put barbecue sauce in here just because I had barbecue sauce, and for some reason I had 2 barbecue sauces open in my refrigerator, but usually I don't put barbecue sauce in here, and I probably wouldn't put it in again. It was a little bit sweet for me, but it was good. So I also have this tahine, this chamoy tahine, and it's just hanging out in my refrigerator. So I decided to give it about a teaspoon of that. And here comes that barbecue sauce. I probably put about 1/4 cup of barbecue sauce in there. And then some ketchup. I did add more ketchup than what you see me adding here, just because I thought it needed it after I gave it a good stir. So I probably put equal parts of ketchup and barbecue sauce in here. And then I just let it come to a simmer and just cook up together. And this was pretty good. It was a little bit sweet. If I'm going to put barbecue sauce in again, I would probably omit the brown sugar or vice versa. And again, I just served it on those same rolls that I served the salmon cakes on, and this was bomb.com. And I also, look at that, we have another freezer meal from this video. Just had some extras that I knew we weren't going to eat. So this night I really did use it up. I had some of the sloppy joe meat left over in the refrigerator that I didn't freeze, the pasta from the bake city that I didn't use, and some cherry tomatoes that were getting a little bit wonky. They were starting to get a little bit looking like a senior citizen. So I just added all that to a pan and I added the rest of that sauce from the bake city. Now, I'm not really sure where you guys are from, but where I'm from, some restaurants, oh, and then I added a little bit of the balsamic glaze. Some restaurants make a sweet sauce for their pizza, and let me tell you, it is really good. So I decided that this was going to be a take on that because this was like a pasta with meat sauce, but it was on the sweeter side because of the barbecue, because of the sloppy joes. So then I did just add a few handfuls of cheese in here, and I did take out the mozzarella because I thought, well, let's get that out and defrost it so I could use it up. So I did use up some more of the mild cheddar, and then there was the mozzarella. I buy this in bulk, and then I put it in bags in the freezer. So then I added some mozzarella, and it was done. If you like this video and you want to see more, please consider subscribing.